Timberwolves, yeah, in the zone. Simple dedication to the team when you're in the know. Timberwolves, yeah, in the soul. Lifting all the positivity for the wolves to grow. So, where we going from here, man? We listen week to week to get the clearest to clear. Recaps, got that. Soundcap, got that. Team ads, got that. So tell me what they do not have, huh? How dare you? Foolish question to ask, but I don't mean to go brag. But boy, they got all the stats, and they could go all the way back from KG to Zerbiak. And all I'm saying is that the cast a one-stop shop for my Timberwolves. Timberwolves, ain't a thing falling, everything's coming up. Timberwolves, Timberwolves, falling from the autumn, ain't nobody gonna stop them. It's the Timberwolves, Timberwolves. Phonies, you can spot them, they the sheep under their clothes. Timberwolves, Timberwolves. Talk a lot about them, y'all don't really know.
Welcome into the Everything's Coming Up Timberwolves podcast. My name is Gabe Anderson, and I'm joined, as always, by Chris Emerson. Chris, how we doing?
We're doing wonderful. A little tired today, but got to push through for the people, right?
Absolutely. I am feeling tired as well. I got my booster last night, so I'm feeling a little off. I didn't like skip work or anything today, but definitely felt a little off towards the end of it once the 24 hours kicked in. But we are also joined, as always, by Chris Emerson. Chris, how we doing?
I'm still doing good.
Jared's good. Jared's good. All right, Jared, how you doing?
I'm doing good. Like you said, I'm a little tired myself, but at least I'm indoors, so I'm already winning. It's colder than hell in this state right now.
Yeah.
And windy too, my God.
Yeah.
But
I
I'm
work
doing
at
good.
school, so obviously it necessitates early hours, and it is cold in the morning. I will say that. Absolutely. And I'm sure you guys know that. I mean, getting your kids ready for school. So for sure. Speaking of cold or something that's not cold, the Atlanta Hawks shooting. That was quite a performance by the Atlanta Hawks. I know, Jared, me and you were both at the game. You were with your son. I was with my friend, and man, they shot the lights out. They absolutely shot the lights out against us. Do you chalk that up to bad defense, or was it just one of those nights? What do you think, Chris?
Well, I mean, everything that I've been hearing lately is, it's not surprising that Beverly is kind of like the quarterback of our defense, but one of the biggest changes this year has been D'Lo's defense, and D'Lo has been quarterbacking the defense and kind of getting everybody organized. So with both those guys out, that's one thing to look at. Maybe that was it. I heard Jaden McDaniels talk after the game, and he kind of, it's kind of funny to listen to these guys talk, because you listen to these sports reporters, and they ask these questions that are kind of baiting people to answer certain ways. And I love it when the players kind of go completely against that. So they were trying to bait Jaden to be like, yeah, without those two quarterbacks out, getting us in our spots, everything kind of fell apart. But he's like, nah, didn't really matter. Like, we still heard those guys yelling, like, we just didn't play well. So it sounds like, they just didn't have the energy, didn't have the legs, which isn't overly surprising since the flu completely ravaged the entire team over the last week. So who knows?
Right.
If we want to make excuses, we can find them, but they hit open shots. The NBA is a make or miss league, and if you make the shots, you look good. If you miss, you look bad.
Yep, that's definitely true. Jared, anything to add on that? You obviously were at the game, so kind of like your experience at the game, coming back to Target Center, or in the game in general.
Yeah, so we had a great time at the Target Center. It was good to be back and see basketball live and in person for the first time in a while for me. So that was a lot of fun. Unfortunately, I had some idiot behind me that kind of got under my skin a little bit, but that happens when you get a venue of 17,000 people. There's always going to be a couple people that are off kilter. But as far as the game, I talked about this game specifically last week on our outro. I said this is the game that scares me, and the reasoning was because I don't know if you guys have noticed this recently, but it's something I've noticed. Teams that go 4 out, 1 in with high screen and rolls really, really seem to to kill us. And I noticed defensively, and Capella is, one of the best big man screen and roll, dive to the basket, spacing guys for 3-point shooters. And it worked, he wasn't the difference maker in the game, but his presence alone was a big thing in my opinion. But as far as the defense specifically goes, I thought just being there, I thought we were late on our rotations. It seemed like every time the ball was on my end of the floor, I was always saying, you got to rotate, because, as I'm watching the game, I'm sitting here thinking this stuff. And it just seemed like we were like a second and a half, 2 seconds late on our rotations, which led to a lot of open shots.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would tend to agree. Yeah, it was just a difficult night. It seemed like every single time they would either make it or get the offensive rebound. They must have gotten
a lot of them.
Yeah, they got a lot of offensive rebounds off of the 3-pointer. And, Cat did all he could against the Hawks. Ant was okay. I think it was kind of a typical Ant kind of game. He could have definitely shot better, but I guess no D'Lo definitely hurts. So are we starting to see the significance of how significant D'Lo is to this team? Like, is that what we're starting to see? Because I've been seeing some stats everywhere like that. We're not very efficient. We're not very good without D'Lo. Chris, what have you been seeing with Sans D'Lo of his kind of significance to the squad?
D'Lo's a stud. He's a really good player. He's a max player. So what we've noticed and it's not like this is breaking news, but if you have 2 or 3 max players on your team, that takes up almost all your salary. And that's kind of where we are. If we put the $10 million that Edwards is making kind of as a max guy to try, assume that Prince's 14 isn't real and just kind of scoot some of that to Edwards. So talent wise, we have 3 max guys and we have a lot of the middling talent after that. If you're missing one of those guys, no matter who it is, it's hard to fill that role. And D'Lo is even harder to fill because he's the guy who sets the pace. He's the guy who gets everything organized. And we traded away the only other option that we had of anybody who can organize a team. All due respect to Beverly. We'll see what he does tonight. But from everything that I've ever watched of Beverly, he's a pretty miserable point guard. He's a decent 2-guard kind of thing. Like he's definitely not the guy you want to get out there and just run your offense. So yeah, not having somebody run the offense and putting in the hands of a rookie Bolmero who, might not even know what side of the street to drive on in this country right now.
Good point.
And, other than that, you've got Anthony Edwards, who's, a little out of control, and he definitely running an offense is not anywhere near his top 10 skill set. We're in a bad place. So if we had, I don't know, just an average journeyman point guard, that's a true point guard, I think that would help. But D'Lo's huge. D'Lo's huge. I think he's the hardest to replace player on the Timberwolves. I think if we lose Karl Anthony Towns, even as small as we are as a team, I believe Naz Reid can answer the bell and give you quality NBA minutes. If we lose Anthony Edwards, I think Beasley can come in and give you quality NBA minutes and probably score 20 points a game at least. That guy, he is amazing at filling that hole when that hole is needed. But if we lose D'Lo, we don't have anything to fill those minutes.
That's true. Jared, anything to add on that?
I agree with a lot of what Chris was saying. D'Lo is, like you said, he's the guy that makes this team go. One thing that I noticed, just specifically in the Hawks game, is I felt like all game I was waiting for okay, we need a dunk to get some momentum. We're down by 15, we're down by 20, and we cut it to 13 and hit a couple shots, and we just never had that explosive play that
Yeah.
gets the team going a little bit, and we just never had that. Balmero, boy, I'll tell you what, I wasn't. There's a lot of people that will say that they were disappointed in his debut. The kid tried his ass off, like he was out there hustling. He's young, it was his first real, not even like his first start, but like his first real game where he got like more than 10 minutes too. So
meaningful minutes.
Yeah, and he got benched in the second half for J-Mac, which, I get it. He wasn't playing good, but, J-Mac's J-Mac to me. Like you said, you take that guy off and D'Lo, and we just have such a thin bench. I knew going into the game that it was going to be tough because, like, that is one of those spots where I like to see Noel get some run, but he was also out, so it was just like, you got to play by necessity, which, is kind of how Jared Vanderbilt was discovered on this team. So stranger things can happen. But as his first test run, Balmero left. It wasn't great, but boy, he tries hard.
Chris, go ahead.
Remember the Corey Brewer at point guard experience for like 3 games when everyone was hurt?
Yeah.
That's sort of what it felt like to me. I like Balmero, and I think in 4 years he very well may be a real serviceable NBA player and a really quality role player. And when you're drafting late in the first, I think that's what your goal is to find, is a quality role player. And if he's better than that, that's awesome. But the kid's 20. He's been in the NBA, like you said. This is his first minutes. He's been down in Iowa more than he's got. Way more time in Iowa than he does in the NBA. It's hard to step up to play against maybe the best point guard in the league.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, he definitely had a tough, that's trial by fire right there. And you got to go in and guard Trae Young. And I will say Trae Young put him on skates a couple times doing Trae Young stuff. But I feel like that would have happened. He might even put Patrick Beverley on skates of all things like that. That's just who Trae Young is. So we talked about Balmero a little bit. So let's kind of shift gears a little bit. Some of the news coming out of Indiana. I know we've talked about this before a little bit, but I feel like it's relevant now. So the news coming out of Indiana. What's his name? Shams or whatever.
Shams is what I say.
Shams. Yeah.
Shams. Yeah. So he reported that basically Indiana is ready to blow it up, like completely just get rid of Sabonis, Turner, LeVert is on the block as well. Obviously for Wolves fans, the two that pop out there, I wouldn't mind LeVert, to be honest with you, like just throwing him in there. But obviously the two that come up would be Turner or Sabonis. So let me ask you this, and I know this question has floated around NBA Twitter and stuff like that. Who would you rather have on this team, Sabonis or Turner? And we'll start with you, Jared. What do you think?
I feel like I'd be dumb not to say Sabonis because he's such a good player. But does he fit this team? I don't know. I probably wouldn't. I probably wouldn't say that he's a better fit. I think Turner's could kind of relieve some of the cat getting beat up in the paint and awkwardly falling all the time because you'd have another guy there. So I think that would help our team more than anything. I do like LeVert. And the reason why I like LeVert is going to be kind of weird. Well, I've always kind of been a LeVert fan. He's had some injury history, and he hasn't been playing all that well this year. But he's a very talented basketball player, or was at one point in time. So I've always kind of rooted for him. But the reason why I like LeVert is because I think Beasley is probably going to be moved, I would think. I don't know who we're really shopping around. But if Beasley moves, it makes our bench thin. And LeVert would almost come in and then you're looking at maybe moving Ant to the 3 and LeVert maybe starts. But I think that LeVert and Beasley's game are very similar. Obviously, I think Beasley's a little bit better of a scorer right now, but that doesn't mean that LeVert doesn't have that in his bag. But to answer the question, the guy I want on this team more than anybody is still Miles Turner, just a shot blocking presence. And another big. We're just a thin roster in general. You know, when Cat's out, you got J Mac, you got Vando, and you got Nas, and that's pretty much it, you know, for bigs.
And two of those guys are pretty much small forwards,
Right.
size-wise.
So let's swing it to you, Chris. Are you in agreement? Would you also want Turner instead of Sabonis, or maybe not?
I mean, you know, if you want to, like, in real, are we playing 2K with a salary cap off, or are we playing, you know what I mean? Like, Turner makes about half of what Sabonis makes. Stylistically, I don't really love Sabonis and Cat together. I don't hate it as much as some might think, because Cat, you know, in a perfect Cat world, he's playing at the 3-point line most of the game, with some flashes down to the paint. I don't want to see, you know, like we've talked about, I don't want to see Cat trying to do his best Joel Embiid in the post impression. So I still say Turner's my guy. I mean, he'll come cheaper in resources that you have to send out, and in actual just salary cap, which is going to be an issue for us. And I just don't know a guy in the NBA that slides in and fits better on our team. I mean, he blocks shots and he stretches the floor to give Ant and D'Lo, you know, room to get to the rim. I mean, that's what he does. He gets out and he defends. And the thing about Turner is, you know, if you guys, Timberwolves fans, are interested in more than just the, you know, box score kind of watching and like how the team is actually kind of vibing, listen to some interviews by Miles Turner. This dude does a handful of interviews, and he's not your traditional NBA player attitude, if there is even such a thing. He's an interesting guy. He reminds me a lot of D'Lo, you know, cut from a little bit different cloth. Definitely cerebral, same as like Cat, you know, kind of a cerebral guy, interesting, kind of, you know, a little bit of a weirdo, but like in a good way. I think he would fit good with the team. I don't think that he would ruffle feathers. I would love to see it. And the cool thing about that report that came out is everyone's been speculating forever. And now it's like, yeah, this is really, they're actually going to blow it up. And I remember I looked before the season, if we could move, hypothetically, let's say we make our move for Turner, and all they're really looking for is, you know, a first and expirings, you know, because, you know, that doesn't sound like a great deal, but let me keep going. If they take back no money next year, you know, so like if we give them Prince and, you know, some, you know, in a first or something like that would work, or even Bolmero and Prince because he's cheap. They have something like 35 million in cap space for next year. So they would keep Brogdon, who's, you know, all-star level point guard. They could keep LeVert if he gets healthy. He's a good player. I do like LeVert. And they could keep Sabonis and have enough money to get a max level player to add to that, you know, threesome. And then you still got Duarte. Like, you can, if you get the right max guy with the money that you have, you can get right back into the top 4 of the East in no time.
Mm-hmm. I agree. So you don't think it would take someone like Beasley to pull this off?
I mean, so here's what I would say to you. If you were a GM, and I know my brain is just a GM, I just love it. That's kind of how I am. But let's say you're a GM, and I tell you next year you could go into the year with $35 million to get whoever you want. Literally, I haven't really looked hard at the free agent class, but anybody out there you could buy. Of course, they'd have to want to play there, and maybe a first round pick. So if you could have that as an option, or Beasley and like a $5 million guy, like how much better is Beasley and a $5 million guy than maybe a max guy when you're spending the same money, you know, or maybe another 10, you know what I mean? Like, I would say I would rather have that money in my pocket to go get who I want than to take on a guy that, let's not cut around the corners. Like, Beasley's been kind of trash this year. You know, like, he's not if he was playing like last year, shooting 40% and scoring 20 points a game efficiently, maybe Beasley would be the guy. But he's not good right now.
I will say this. I think he's inconsistent. I like he has last night or against Atlanta. That was kind of on a necessity. Him shooting that much. I mean, he shot 50% from the floor. But
It's the best thing that happened in the game.
Yeah. So I will say he's been inconsistent and not necessarily the same guy that he was last year. But hey, at least he's not threatening people with guns. So
when he was threatening people with guns, he was shooting 41% and scoring 20-some points a game. When he's not been, he's shooting like 25% and scoring 10 points a game. So I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, man. I need that edge back in my Beasley.
Yeah, maybe. Maybe that's what we've been missing out of him. So it sounds like we're all on the. I guess I didn't get my take. As much as I do love Sabonis, and I know I've said this on past podcasts. In fact, whenever I do like a 2K simulation, I always seem to end up with Sabonis somehow, which is a great thing because it usually turns out pretty well. But I do love Sabonis a lot. I love his scoring ability, and he kind of quietly like gets it done. Like, for example, when he played the Wolves, he had a triple-double. You would not think they did a triple-double, but he kind of quietly got it all done.
And it was a huge triple-double. He had like 20 rebounds.
Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, but I think Turner, like you said, it's definitely the cheaper pick. It fits well next to Cat, and it's the power forward that we need.
I've got a question for you guys. This is something that was posted. And if you had to give up one of our young, cheap assets to butter the bread for one of these deals, and it was either Jaden McDaniels or it was Naz Reid, which one would you guys give up to bring in Miles Turner?
I'll go first. See you, Jaden.
Yeah, I'm in full agreement as well, because the thing with Jaden is his game still is like kind of unidentified. Like his offensive game, you really don't know what you're gonna get. We know that he's a defensive stud, but there's defensive studs in the NBA. Like there's more to be had than just the one.
Right.
And Nas is not only is he on the best contract ever, but he's one of my favorite Timberwolves. Like he's just got this weird thing about him. Like he just always I'm a fanboy. I'm a Nas guy.
Yeah, and I'll add Nas is someone, like, as crazy as it sounds that it's Naz Reid, when they have the second unit in, he's like the number one option on offense. Like he actually is. Like either get him down to the post. He honestly, he can create. I mean, it doesn't always work, but he can create for himself. Like he doesn't need like a Ricky Rubio dime or something like that, or a Patrick Beverly dime to score. He can go and create offense for himself, and he can hit the outside three on occasion as well. And another thing, he's not afraid to shoot that three either. Like a lot of like Josh Okogie, he's afraid to shoot the three. He knows he's not supposed to do that, and when he does, he misses. Naz Reid,
Go ahead. No, go on.
Oh, I was just gonna. Naz Reid, he confidently steps in that three. He takes it whether he makes it or misses it. I don't know. I like you said. I think we're all Naz Reid fans here. I would say by Jaden. Like you said, he's not developing as we thought like you were saying in the offseason. Like, would you give up Jaden McDaniels for Ben Simmons? And people were saying no. Who would say that now? I don't think anybody would say that now.
Speaking of stepping in and shooting the three well, did you see what my man Gorgeous Dong did against us? Because oh my God, every time I was like, who is that? I'm like, is that Gorgie out there? And he killed it. I think he was like 3 for 4 from 3, and I was like, oh man, I still love you, Gorgie, but man, you're killing us tonight.
And it's funny. It's almost like he has a shot like it's straight out of like a rec league. Like it's that slow developing thing, almost like Garnett almost, but obviously Garnett wasn't taking threes. But Chris, go ahead.
So I'm going to not only play devil's advocate, but also disagree with both you guys. I would move Naz Reid. and for two reasons. So you're bringing Miles Turner over, right? Naz Reid right now on the smallest team in the NBA with no backup center and no real starting power forward is playing 16 minutes a game for the Timberwolves. We know who he is. We know who he is as much as any team in the NBA does, and we're playing him 16 minutes a game. Whereas Jaden McDaniels is playing 25 minutes a game. If we bring over Miles Turner, how many minutes do you think Naz Reid is going to have? If he's only getting 16 now, he's not going to get any. Like, he's just going to be buried. And I don't think that's right, but that's just facts. If we bring over if we get rid of Naz Reid, we can still play Jaden McDaniels. He can still be a starter. He can still be our small forward. Naz Reid's not, you know what I mean? Like, talent for talent, I love Naz Reid over Jaden.
Right.
But in reality, I'm building a team. I'm building a franchise. And what good is a third center when, you know what I mean? When you don't have a small forward, you know? So
Yeah.
I think the move would be, and I think Naz Reid needs to get paid next year. So
Yeah.
that's I don't know, maybe 12, $15 million question is, what's Naz Reid going to be worth?
I'll twist this real quick. If you're an NBA team, who are you more likely to trade for?
Nas.
I mean, but
I think it's Nas.
Because I think it's pretty close. You know,
but in reality, that's not how it works. What's your team? Like, who's on your roster? You know, if I was the Sixers, I would trade for Jaden McDaniels because I've got, you know, Embiid and Drummond. What good is Naz Reid going to do me?
If I'm the Nets, I'm trading for Nas because you got
exactly.
four guys trying to play center.
Naz Reid would be a monster on the Nets. Would be a monster. That's the trick, you know. Like, that's what I'm saying is you got to see the way to fit. And if you're bringing over a center, you kind of got to move one. And you know what? To be honest, I would like to move Naz Reid just to free Nas. You know, let Nas eat, man. Nas is a top 20 center in the NBA, and I'm confident in that. And he's getting 16 minutes a game, and he's super cool about it. In all the interviews, he's like, I'm just doing what I need to do. And man, he needs to play.
I totally agree. And see, that's why I was super surprised that Chris would say to get rid of Nas. But once you explained it, it made a lot of sense.
Chess versus checkers, baby. Sometimes you got to play chess, man. A lot of people are playing.
I don't know which one you're playing yet, but you might be playing.
I know which one I'm playing. I might be losing.
Off topic, since we're kind of on the topic, like, honest question here: are either of you like good at chess or not?
I'm not very good, but I know how to play.
Okay.
I think I know what most of the supporting cast is supposed to do. Like, I think I know the directions they move, but that's it.
Okay. I just learned what a Queen's Gambit is in chess, so that's
because you watched that TV show.
No. Actually, it was a Jeopardy question. Okay. So that's how I learned what it was.
One of the craziest things,
a TV show. Jeopardy is a TV show.
Yeah, I do want to check it out for sure. Go ahead, Jared.
One of the craziest things about chess that I thought was super cool. I never was really into chess, but like, I'd watch my grandpa and my uncle play each other, and all of a sudden my uncle like moves his rook and his king's in the corner. I'm like, what the hell is that? Like, what kind of cheat move is that? So there's like a scenario. I don't know what has to happen, but like, you can switch your pieces from like across the board, and you know, like. Yeah. But not to get off topic, I would totally own you, Alex, in checkers. Checkers is my game.
Just to stay on this dumb topic, I don't sleep very much, and it means a lot of pointless YouTube time. And I this summer got in this weird like YouTube warp zone of this like real pretty young girl that goes to like downtown New York, where all these guys are playing chess out there, like these masters. and
Mm-hmm.
she's like a savant at it and just trashes these, or she at least holds her own and beats a lot of them.
Right.
It doesn't take these guys long to realize that it's like a setup and this girl's good, but it's kind of fun to watch people that are like really good at chess, like where they hit that little button and the little speed thing. It's kind of cool, but it's not for me.
Yeah. No, it's something that I'd love to be good at, but I could never see myself taking the time to be good at it. Like,
Right.
I don't know. Like, it seems like too much. Like you said, Jared, checkers. I mean, I'll take you out in checkers anytime. I mean, I used to scoop my little, that's
nice and simple.
Rainy days of my grandma's cabin. That's all we did. So yeah. So let's shift this way. So we are 1/4 through the season, right? Or about 1/4 through the season. We're going to do a show yesterday, which I think we might have been exactly 1/4, but we're close. We're close to 1/4 through the season. Where do we stand? Is this kind of what you expected? Are you still confident in this team? We'll start with you, Jared. Where do we stand as Wolves fans here?
It's a kind of a difficult question at the time being, because I think we're a lot worse right now with D'Lo off the floor. So it's kind of hard for me to fully answer that question because I think we're going to lose tonight, and I think we're going to have some losing coming up, some good teams, and we're missing some of our catalysts that help us go, So I still think in the long run, though, I don't think we can get to higher than 6, probably. I'm thinking more like 7 to 9 range. I think we're going to be a playoff team for sure, but I also think that this team needs to stay healthy. You take and it doesn't even have to be like just taking D'Lo off the floor. Like you take any one of our big 3 off the floor, we're going to be a lot worse. But you take a max guy off any team, they're not going to be very good. So
we saw Golden State.
Yeah. Although, ironically, Golden State's doing pretty damn good without Clay. Somehow. I'm not really quite sure.
I was talking Curry, but yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Chris, what do you think? Where do you think we're at? Like, how should we feel as Wolves fans at 11-13 at this point?
It's one of those two-sided dice. Like, I think we're good. I think we should be very happy with where we're at because we've thrown away so many games. Like even just this week alone, we've had, Anthony Edwards with an 8 turnover game and we lost the game. If he had lost the game like close, if he had 6 turnovers, we would have won that. And then the game before that, D'Lo was like 2 for 18 or something like that. If he was 5 for 18, we would have won that. Like we've thrown away so many games. I think we should be happy where we're at. Our biggest strong suit, well, not really like team wise, but like individuals wise is shooting. We have a great, at least a trio of great shooters. And right now the NBA average is 37.2% from 3. Currently we have one guy shooting over NBA average, and that's Cat. That's not good. It's not good. And the second best guy is Naz Reid at 37%, the aforementioned. You have to think that those guys move up. You have to think that we get better. And that the shooting comes around. But, I would say you should be happy where we're at. But that doesn't mean that we should stay where we're at. There's some huge questions on this roster. Right now, we've got 2 guys that are expiring contracts in Beverly and Prince. Both guys are making $14 million a year. Those are trade chips. Prince for sure. He's not going to be on the team next year. I hope to God he isn't.
Yeah, please.
Beverly, I love what he's brought, and I hope that what he's taught is sticks and it's permanent. But if he doesn't take, I wouldn't pay him more than like $7-8 million a year just because he's 33, 34, 35-ish. Like he's like 15 years older than Ant. Like he's not going to be part of our team moving forward. So we can't spend assets on that. So we're at a spot now where D'Lo's coming up for contract this year. What do you pay D'Lo? Like, if D'Lo came back and said, I need to be a max player, I mean, do you pay him that? That's a real question for you two. Just yes or no. Do you give D'Lo? I mean, because next year he'll be making probably damn near $45 million a year by the end of that contract.
I'll go first.
Yeah, you go. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm not going to say no to D'Lo because he's my guy. He's my favorite player in the entire league, especially on the Wolves. On top of that, but is he worth that? Is a better question. But am I paying him? Well, yeah, he's my favorite player in the league, and I want him to be on our team.
It's a salary cap, though. You got a salary cap league, so if you're paying him, that means let's say that's $15 million over what he should be paid, at least. That's a $15 million player that's not on your roster.
The real question is, are we using 2K no salary cap, or do I have to use a salary cap? Because
real salary cap.
The question, I think a bigger question is where does the money come to keep these guys? Can we make it work with D'Lo and Cat on the same roster?
Yes.
I don't necessarily know that. I mean, we basically have a thin bench as it is because of that, and Ant hasn't even been paid yet. So, I mean, I don't know.
Ant's got 4 years before he's paid, or 4 more, or something like that. So that's a huge win. That gives us some time, and then hopefully by the time you have to give him a max, hopefully not a super max, but it might be. Hopefully by that time, we're winning to the point where we can play over the luxury tax a little bit. We can pay our guys a little bit extra. We'll see.
Yeah. I don't know. It's an interesting question because the other thing is when we have to pay Anthony Edwards, where will Cat be at that time? Because obviously Cat, like you say, he plays dangerously. He's flopping all over the place. He's falling to the ground hard. I mean, who knows how long his durability is going to stay up there? I mean, it's just a question that you have to ask. So I don't know exactly where that's going to be. And as far as re-signing D'Lo, I don't know. I feel like so the saying goes, a bird in the hand is worth two in the bush, right? So if you just have a guy that you can that can produce, you stick with him. But my question is, can you get better elsewhere and then just build with find a decent like find a Malik Beasley last year who's good enough. Find a Malik Beasley last year who's good enough to start in D'Angelo Russell's place and then maybe get bigger, like get a big guy or something like that. Well, it looks like we have a special guest.
Hey, what's up, Griffin? Hey, what's up, Griffin? What's up, buddy?
How you doing?
Good.
I got a question for you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, you're gonna have to talk real loud because you're talking to the entire nation. So the
entire
whole nation is hearing you. So you got to talk loud. Tell me what your favorite thing that happened in the game was.
Yeah, that's a good question.
What was your favorite thing that happened in the game?
The Hawks game you went to on Monday.
Stage fright. It happens several times.
Griffin, who's your favorite Star Wars character? I know it was Star Wars night in the game you went to. Who's your favorite Star Wars character?
What you liked about the Timberwolves game?
Chewbacca.
Chewbacca was your favorite, huh?
Yeah, I want a picture, please.
And what else did you like at the Timberwolves game?
I don't know.
What about the mascot? You were a big fan of our mascot. What was his name?
Cool.
What was his name?
Crunch.
Crunch? Yeah, Crunch.
I think Crunch is related to Chewbacca.
All right, you can sit back. He's a little gun shy.
All right, so Chris Armstead has a question. Chris, has anyone ever told you that you sound like Jonah Hill?
No,
Did that ever
and
come up?
I'm happy that nobody's ever said that I have the physique of Jonah Hill either. But no, I've never
I'll tell
heard
you-
that. But I'll take
I'll,
it.
I'll tell you what, you kind of remind me of Jonah Hill and Moneyball when he's on the phone calling all these guys like, "Oh, I'm gonna make this deal," and then I could just see you doing that.
Hey,
I don't know if you guys have ever seen Moneyball, but it's one of the best
I
movies
have.
around. I love it.
Oh yeah,
I would.
Yep.
I would love to be an NBA GM.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I know you would.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm all for it. I mean, that's probably why you do this podcast. This is probably like an audition tape for you.
Yeah, I've been sending actually every one to Glenn Taylor. He hasn't got back to me. It might not even be the right Glenn Taylor.
Watch out, Pizza. He's coming. Okay, so since we're getting close to the tip of obviously Wolves Jazz tonight, let's talk about tonight's matchup in general. Of course, the return of Patrick Beverly. Elo is not going to play tonight. So what are we looking for out of the Wolves game? Let's start with you, Chris. What are some of the matchups we should watch?
I think the fun matchup is going to be Anthony Edwards in the rim. Like, is Anthony Edwards going to be able to get to the rim versus, Gobert and the defense that is provided by the Jazz? I think that's going to be the trick. And will Cat be able to get his shot back?
Yeah, for sure. Jared, what do you think? What are you looking for tonight?
I'm hoping we can keep Rudy Gobert off the boards. That's kind of like an ongoing thing for me is these big bigs. They seem to just kind of eat us alive in a way. And not only eat us alive, but like, I don't really know how to say this because like, I think Gobert is going to struggle trying to defend Cat on the perimeter, but I also think that he's going to make life difficult for him in the paint. Like he just seems to kind of like get annoyed when he's down low. So my goal is to keep them off the boards. No more second chances. No more letting them shoot 3 threes a game. And then I'm looking for our defensive help to be better tonight. I think you're going to see a lot of high screen and rolls with McConnell and Mitchell, and then they got some killers that can shoot from 3. You gotta get out and close out on Bogdanovich. You got to get out and close on. I don't know. Ingles has kind of seemed like he's kind of tapered off a little bit, but I believe he still can fling it too. So. And even a guy like Royce O'Neal, who might just have a few open threes because of how we run our sets, or not run our sets, but like defensively. So I'm looking for a team to not shoot 51% on us, and I'm looking for us to play a little bit better defensively and just get bodies on people, like box out and quit letting all these balls bounce around and get in people's hands.
I don't think Gobert is going to play defense on Cat tonight. I bet you he plays on Vanderbilt and just kind of floats around. And they've got Royce O'Neal on Cat.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean,
it's not a bad take.
We've seen Cat have success, particularly in some of the games earlier this year against smaller players. So, I mean, we'll see if he has a big. I mean, Cat's been on fire lately. I mean, I think he has like 30 points a game in his last 5 or 6. So, yeah, should be a fun game. Well, we are getting towards tip-off, so we'll let you guys go here. Chris, thanks so much for being here.
No problem, man. Go Timberwolves. Let's just be competitive.
I agree. And Jared and Griffin as well. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. No, it's always a blast. No matter what night of the week we do, just hang out, talk basketball. I don't care if 20 people watch this stream or if 100 people watch it. It's more of a hangout for me, so it's always fun to do. And like Chris said, let's just be competitive and not get blown out, because without our point guard, we look bad time out. So just be competitive.
And this is the Everything's Coming Up Timberwolves podcast. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe on YouTube, and follow us on Spotify so you never miss an episode. And as always, go Wolves.
That's right.